And I think us service people have just an extra love for the country. Every time we get away and then come back home, it's like kissing the ground. And when you just appreciate that much more, what we have. And it's a wonderful feeling. But it's nice, even memories, to go back to those days that we went over there. A lot of places like Japan was pretty good, but not everything, especially when they have earthquakes. But the freedoms that we have in our country have been the greatest in the world, as I said. And it's a sacred place for us, and we have a future place in the world. Our country has been, for the last 200 years, the top of the world leader. A lot of our people in our country feel that we're leading too much, involved too much in different skirmishes throughout the world, and there's bitterness and fright. So we have a two-party system that a lot of times, there in the last several years, a lot of anguish between the two parties. And we'd like it to see it better, but at the same time, we know what we stand for. We love it. We want to keep it. Many events in our country have noticed and made major impact in cutting into some of the powers that we have had. And we have noticed, especially from the directions of the latest health care plan of the president, the future impact, what that's going to do to a lot of our small companies and small home-run businesses that can't afford to hire people anymore. So many of those businesses are under and close to $250,000, and they're getting it pretty bad. And a lot of times what they have to pay for the protection of the people is just something that so many of these organizations cannot afford. This evening, I'd like to sort of share with you some of the observation from going through the service, teaching for many years, working for General Motors, and working for many other companies, Humana included, in just getting some experience and seeing what's happening in our country. And I'd like to be able to just indicate some of the directions that we've had and the impact of these things, directions on our country, as well as also sort of things that we need to look about in the future. How can we preserve some of those cherished things that have meant so much to us? But what we have noticed, liberals have become quite strong in a lot of their beliefs. And coming from that, especially with the press and the directions, and we a lot of times would sort of call it the government-run press right now, because we sort of feel they're running orders and directions from what they're saying is coming directly from one source. And they're united, and unfortunately it makes it much more difficult for us to be against them. Well, it's hard to have a straight story that gets press so many times. The major New York Times, Washington Post, what do we hear? We hear the Washington Post input directly from the White House. And many times our Fox News inputs do not have that direct input into our news media. And many places like my home state in South Dakota, many of those places don't even get that much except by computers. Many of the news media, like Fox News, in many of those places is not that available. So many people are resource limited in what's going on. We have had many things like our housing fiasco in the last several years. We've had houses given to so many people. Then within the next 2 to 3 years, if not sooner, people reneged on that. The government had to assume it. We had short sales. Our government took it in years. And that's Obama's uses that as an excuse. He didn't even talk about that part of it. He blames Bush for everything else. But so many of those things are a large part that caused so much of the impact on our country. We've also, in this last year, as you recall, many of the states are contesting the strength of the unions, like in Wisconsin. And we have had some serious situations. The unions have fought very vigorously, and they have been united, bringing in the union workers from all over the country to these local states, making it very difficult for those other states. So all these things has impacted our life significantly. And our impact of our relationship to our friends throughout the world has been significantly changed. What is our relationship with Egypt right now? Non-existent. And so much of it, a lot of us feel, was self-generated by our country. And it's really scary because we only see Egypt, Libya, and so many other countries have gone right down the tube. What is the end result? We don't know. It's so worrisome. But due to all these situations, we just need to really be careful. And can our country prevail and make it beyond? Of course we have. We have the people in our country always has been strong. The leadership and the small businesses throughout our country are great. Our industrial capability is very limited, yes, but we can turn that on again. But then again, depending on what those tax laws and everything else, there's a lot of work to be done. So each one of us, key steps for each one is to talk, write, communicate, practice speaking, which thank God each one of us is here today. And that's what brought me out of retirement. Got a lot of work, but I need it. Our state governors need to be strong. Our leaders, like Boehner, was just coming on Sean Hannity as I was coming in tonight. I wanted here because they're going to throw some stones at him tonight from what was done in the last several days. We don't know how that's going to come out. But then again, we have so much, we hate to see it thrown away. So each one of us, talk it up. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you.